Welcome to a mixed media project today. So with mixed media, to me, it just means there's a little bit more collage involved, maybe different kinds of paint, not just one kind, like watercolor and acrylics maybe, some glue, and a lot of collage and stuff. So that's how I always define mixed media. You can get this template from my website. And I call it pieces of me, but basically the idea that I had was, the new here, new you idea, but maybe this is more a confirmation from where you are and how you do not really need to change yourself because you can be great just the way you are. So I have this for you. I'm going to show you how I'm going to use this on my page. I use a small mixed media journal. It's a 5.5 by 8 inches, so kind of the size of your hand. So it's a really good size. I just have a few different kinds of mixed media, or not even mixed media paper. Like this is an old book. This is like tea type of weird paper. You can use tissue paper. Something that is a little bit more on the flimsy side, just collage a little easier if you're new to collage. Scrapbook paper works really well. They're just more like a cardstock, which is, I actually have a piece here that is a little bit harder. Totally work fine. So you can use either one. It doesn't really matter. I have an X-Acto knife. I prefer the big ones. I know you get the small ones. I like the big one. I have a ruler. Metal with X-Acto knife is better because, or else your ruler becomes a little smaller if you have the wood one. A big jar of paintbrushes, so you can have many choices. You may not even use the paintbrushes, depends on what's going to happen. I have where is it? Oh, I have a permanent pen that I'm going to use. It is not water soluble, so even if you go over it, it's not going to smudge. I like this Sharpie pen. This is one of my favorite pens, so I'm going to use that. You need a pencil, like a normal pencil, and then maybe you need a mechanical pencil for tracing, or you can just use that one. I always, whenever I cut up some of my watercolor artwork or whatever, I have a Ziploc full of offcuts. So I know I will find something that I can use. I need a piece of watercolor for the project I have in mind. I'm going to use a little piece of watercolor where I can trace her, cut it out, and then I'm going to do stuff with it. So small piece of watercolor paper. I use Elmer's multi-purpose glue. I love it. You can also use Mod Podge, gel medium. I prefer the school glue or the Elmer's glue in my journal because I know the paper doesn't stick, it dries clear. It doesn't ruin any of your brushes. So if you don't wash your brush right away, or it's really safe to use. So especially if you are new to collage and mixed media, the Elmer's glue is the best. I have one of these cake decorating tools that I really like, and that will just be to spread out your paper. I also, let me just move my water cup. I also have, I want to show you that I reuse them. I have a paper towel. You can clearly see my book page, how I use them. So, and all I do is you can tear it apart, or I like to just place it behind the page I'm using, so it catch all the paint, glue, whatever. And then the thing about the journals, let me just quickly touch base on this. For my mixed media classes, most of the time I prefer the spiral bind. I like how it lays flat, and I like that I can glue quite a few things in, and it can hold quite a few. I just want to show you, for example, this one. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So starting from something that looks like this, and then you may end up with something like that. So the spiral bind to me just, it's a little bit more flexible. Keep making sure that you can collage and do a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so let's get down to business. If you have a heat gun, they are really easy to use. Mine is always plugged in. I keep it in my drawer and I can just quickly come out and dry a few. So heat guns are really important. Or it's not important, it can just speed up process. Okay, so first, what I always like to do is I do a background. And you always can change your background. You don't have to stick to anything you do. You change your mind the whole time. I like to start with the background, let it dry, move on to my little goal that I'm going to do. And then by the time I'm ready, background is dry and I can continue playing. But you know that you can change your mind and you just have to blow dry a little bit. So what I have in mind for my, I just grabbed a few papers, but I might not even use all of it. Huh, what is this? So you can use it as is, you can tear it up. So what I am going to do is, and maybe you don't even want to collage this down, because what I am going to do, or the idea that I was thinking is have her pick up some words that mean something. So I found a whole bunch of positive affirmations on the internet, and I just made a whole document, and then I gave it some perspective. So it feels like it's going away from you, and you can just kind of pick up the things that mean something. So how I also thought of doing it is maybe paint this a different color, and then cut out just a few phrases that you can hold up, put it on top, or I can collage a little bit and then have that peek through. I think I'm actually not going to use this. I'm going to use this will actually pretty. Oh yeah. Okay, so any paper will work, or I can even use this one. This one is really fun too. Let me see. And I'm going to use this one. Okay. And the edges are kind of cool. So I think, I don't know if I have more than one. Oh, I do. More than one. Hmm. Okay, so I'm going to let this dark edge. So option one is you can take a little clip if you have one. I have so many, and then sometimes I have nothing to hold it in place. Sort of. And then you can take your knife, and without pushing so hard, just get a ruler. You can let's see if it works. This paper is really flimsy. but sometimes you can kind of score it and then you can just tear it all the way. And then same here. So when the paper is so flimsy, you basically you're just going to score it and it will be easy to tear. Okay, putting that out of the way, that looks good. Another thing about mixed media is nothing needs to be so precise and so perfect, actually with all art. So for sure, you can do it just any way you want. Okay, I am going to put out some glue. Now, whenever you use tissue paper or really thin paper like this, you may want to make sure that you spread the glue all the way to the edges. This is where the paper towel is really helpful. And then when you place this on top, if you have a thick paper, oops, you can take this and kind of push out the bubbles. When your paper is really flimsy and thin like this, you have to be so careful. So sometimes just by gently going over it, or you have to use your fingers. Yeah, just fingers are a little bit easier. And I have a spot that does not have any glue, so you can just add some. So your first step by using the scraping tool and making sure it goes everywhere to the edges, that is what makes sure that the paper will stick everywhere. So it's very important to try to get the glue everywhere. Again, I always like the little wrinkles because to me it looks really good. So I'm just going to leave it like that, putting it to the side so it can dry. I'm not using that. It's always good to have options because you can change your mind. Okay, so next step. I am going to just cut it out smaller. I'm going to flip it over. And if you have not done a trace transfer with me, this is by far the easiest way. You don't do that. Don't do that. You want to get pencil everywhere. You want to place it down anywhere. You can use blue tape to tape down. You can do a clip. Now, your pencil gets dull really quickly. So switching to a mechanical pencil to do your trace is just a little easier because the pencil stays skinny and sharp. You can add all the details. You can lose some of the details. Like there's a whole bunch of details in her clothing. And that's okay. You can keep it. You can leave it out. The other leg. And then she's wearing a cute dungaree shorts. I think that's what you call it. And then she's got a hair braid. Oh. You don't really have to press that hard that you break your leg, but sometimes it happens. Oh, hand. Yeah. and then you can see it. I never go with my pencil again. I just immediately go with my pen. So don't try it, because you just have to erase the pencil lines, right? So you don't want to go so dark. So I am just going to sketch kind of very loosely. I'm going to sketch it out. Less detail helps sometimes. Ooh, that sure looks a little wonky. To just take the pressure off. So you don't have to go so precise. And it's okay if you don't want to do all those lines and all the things. And back. And if your lines got a little weird, go back and just give a double line. You can give a little braid. Very loose. Adding a few lines just to make it more interesting. Kind of like that. If your shoe looks a bit weird, maybe you want to color in the sole. It's a nice way to hide a few things. But again, I don't really color it like solid. I scribble, scribble, scribble. You can do a little detail here and there, like that. Maybe you want to give her a band. Maybe color the band in. You know, so you don't have to go, you can kind of balance with, even though you want to use some black, but don't go too precise. Keep it sketchy. Okay. So the good thing if you use a Sharpie pen is that you immediately can erase your pencil lines. It's not going to smudge. I like to use a soft eraser that I can kind of point, and I would just softly go over and make sure that there is no pencil lines. And this is why you also don't really want to retrace, even if your lines are faint, as long as you can see them, it's great. Okay. I'm getting out my watercolor because I like the way I like the way watercolor goes with this pen idea. So now, no need to make it super, no need to make it super specific or super detailed, because the pencil lines are there. So I'm grabbing some yellow and brown and maybe a tiny bit of orange, and I'm just, so it's already there. It's like yellow. This is my brown, tiny bit of an orange, a little bit more yellow. And let's see. Oh yeah, cute skin tone. Again, make your skin tone anyone you want. So there's a little leg there, here. While it's still wet, I am going to touch my, like a bit of like a navy blue, Payne's gray maybe. And I'm just going to touch here at the bottom and a little bit at the back. So see how it kind of flows in it. If I can zoom in more. Oh. Coming back to the hand. My hand looks a little bit weird, but it's okay. I'm gonna touch, touch, touch. I also want to touch the blues here at the back leg and maybe here a little bit. But I want to be careful not to let it flow into all my front leg too. And that is the only skin tone. If you want to do skin tone there, you can, but I'm going to make it part of my shirt. So then I am going to come back with some hair. I'm going to do brown hair. Any hair will do. I'm going to first start with kind of a lighter color. So whatever you decide to do. And I always just like to have my towel close by so I can kind of get rid of some of the water on my brush. So do a light color first. And then when it's a bit wet still, you can come back and add some more so it can kind of flow in, so it's not just one color. I'm thinking I am going to do a red boots. So I'm thinking I'm gonna leave the strap. I'm mixing, and you can mix whatever color you kind of want. I want my red to be a little darker, so I don't want to do the orangey red. So I'm adding a small amount of burgundy. I'm going to do a red band in her head, kind of, so before I'm going to paint the back boot, I'm just going to wait. So I'm going to paint her dungarees, kind of. I'm going to pretend it's denim, so it's going to be like a blue, purple color. So I'm mixing over here a blue, purple color that I like. I always like to mix the paint. You don't have to over mix everything. I love it. And again, you don't really need to give a lot of highlights and darks because we have the the pen line that help us. But sometimes it's kind of nice if you, so I painted with one color now, you can come back and use water and just kind of push it a little bit away, especially on the bend and at the top. It kind of looks nice if you try to make it a little bit three-dimensional, but you don't have to. Dropping in a little bit of color here where I know it will be more shadowy because of her body. And here, I'm going to wait with the trim. I want it to be a bit lighter. I'm going to wait with the shirt because it needs to get dry. So I'm going to come back to my boot. So another thing with watercolor you have to keep in mind is that you have to jump around to make sure it's got enough time to dry, or else it will just flow into each other. So patience is great. I'm adding some purple to this back one to make it slightly darker. When you want to go darker on a color, try your best not to go with black. See what's next to on the color wheel and see if you can use that color to make it a bit darker. Or go for purple, brown, blue. Those are good colors to make things darker. Black sometimes just makes it like really dull looking. And then I'm going to kind of just give it darker. Yeah, so I can give you a zoom in what I just did. I kind of paint a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. There's some dark areas right there. And I think I'm ready to do the hat. Just making the blinds a little bit. I think the sun was giving a glare, so that's why it didn't get to focus well. Okay, moving on to the hat. I'm going to make my hat like a black blue color. Maybe a different hat would have been nice. It's okay. Like a gray. And sometimes paint just dries a bit lighter also, so you just have to wait and see what it actually looks like. Making it a bit darker towards the bottom because the sun is hitting, say the sun is coming from this angle. So you want to kind of towards the bottom, make it a bit darker. And then this shirt, I kind of think a white-ish shirt would be fun. So I'm gonna use a lot of water and a little bit of maybe the color of the hat. And I'm gonna just give towards the left side and towards the bottom. I'm gonna give under her arm and maybe a little swish over here. And then I want to come back to her roll over cuff. Yeah, so you can kind of see. So the blue is so subtle. Oh, you can also add a tiny bit of brown in it. Let's see. Like a skin tone mixed with the blue. It's really pretty. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay. And again, you don't have to paint everywhere. So if I can give you a zoom. See how it's so subtle. If I can use that. Okay, now I'm gonna wait for it to dry. I'm gonna zoom out so you can just see my whole workspace again. And then my collage background is dry. So we do things in steps so it can dry. Before you start doing anything on top, when you flip it over like this, you can kind of see, I can show you, the pieces that's kind of over. It is so much easier to paint, to cut this when it is completely dry. So if it's wet, you end up sometimes just tearing it. So I would wait for this point and then you can trim the edges. So try not your best not to be impatient. Okay, now there's two options that you can do, and my template will allow you to pick either one. you can use a cutting mat and decide what words you want to cut out that you can then hold up in her hand, or you can just use these ones and hold it, or you can do both. So for this one, what I think I want to do is I want to see, so I'm going to cut out these in case I want to use them. And then I'm going to see if I can tear, my workspace is so small. I want to see if I can tear them. So you can use a ruler, and by lining things up, oops, a bigger cutting mat is always nice. When you line things up, you can kind of tear them in a straight line. I like the edge that it gives me. I'm going to do the same on this way. So I'm going to use the top edge, and I'm going to use the side edge and tear it out. So now my top and my bottom is good. I can decide if I want to stay with the shape, which I think I may do, or if you just want to go straight. So I'm going to stay in my shape. So it's easier to put it on the side, the cutaway side, so you can kind of aim or with this. So put it on, put your ruler down on the other one. And then, again, now it can look something like this. Oh, it's a little bit big. Oh, it still fits. Okay. Then let's cut out the little girl. I like to always also cut out with like a bubble. I go with the bubble. So I would not try to go so close. And the white edge always feels like it gives a little bit of a highlight effect. So I kind of like it. Now you will see when you get to the hand and when it's very detailed that this is so forgiving. So two reasons I like it is, reason one is it gives you a bit of a highlight, and reason two is it's so forgiving. You don't have to go so close and do all those details. Nobody wants to do that. Cutting away from your body, the best. Keeping your scissors kind of straightforward, and then turning the paper is also better. Pointing, 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 cutting out. Oops. And now she's ready to pick up what serves her and what she needs. So by cutting out little things, it will kind of show up. Or if you want to use these ones. You can just let it pile and you can still see them because they go a different way. I'm going to do a few words that I think I like and I'm going to add it in it. And you may not be able to read everything in the end, but still to you, it's going to mean something because you can remember which ones you picked. I like this one that says, I can take one small step because sometimes you feel so overwhelmed, but it's one step at a time. Like, and this is for your cutter is also really easy because like this one, I'm doing my best. Yes. I'm gonna cut it out. You may use the ruler or you may not. If you have a steady hand, you may not need a ruler. Okay, I'm doing my best. I'm gonna put it right there. I'm worthy of respect. I like that one. Let me see if I can cut without a ruler. Yeah. Um, ooh, I have faith. So now I'm just going for it. Um, ooh, life is full of amazing opportunities. That's a good one too. Ooh, I'm free to create. I like that one. So you can do phrases, you can do words. I like the word amazing. I'm gonna just cut that one out. Even though I like amazing family and friends, but I like the word amazing. And then you can make a few, you can have a lot. You don't have to stop. I'm gonna stop. So now I think when I will make the template, I will make it a little bit smaller here so it fits better because it goes a little over, which I don't want, but I'm just gonna cut it. Okay. I can so see how cool this looks. It kind of peeks out. And then, okay, so I'm gonna glue this down. I'm gonna put glue on this back like this. And you can use the scrape tool. And just spread it a little bit more. And then place it down. So make sure if it was touching the spiral, but I think I'm just gonna I can change the template because I made it, so I can change it. I'll make it smaller. Yeah. Push the paint, the glue to the sides. Right? And now I didn't put my paper towel. And now there's some glue. I'm just gonna cut it off. It buckles when it's wet and it will get better as soon as it's dry again. So sometimes it just buckles a little bit. You can add more glue if you didn't have enough. The nice thing is also it is washable glue. So even if you put it on your towel and you wash it, it comes off. The base glue. Okay. Now I have all of these that I can use and I have all of these that I cut out. So I'm gonna glue it down like this. So I know I got I'm free to create over here. So I'm gonna see if I can like, let it, looks like I just picked it. So I'm gonna place it here. I'm gonna let it booty scoot over a bit like this. And I'll glue, not too much. You can also use your finger and just spread it everywhere. Now this one you want to be careful, especially if you use watercolor, not to let it go to the top because it may activate your watercolor again. So sometimes something simple as your water cup that you make sure is not wet at the bottom will stick it down. This is a good time to pause and take a sip of your water cup. Or I have some hibiscus tea. See? So there's no glue on the top. So what I can do is, and sometimes you just have to wait for it to get a little bit more tacky. So you can glue it down. I am going to take a big round brush like this, biggish, and getting almost the same color as her hat, but very diluted with water, so not too bright or dark. And I'm just gonna give a bit of a shadow. I would start light, and then you can always come back and make it a bit darker. So when we place the words down, it will immediately pop a bit more because there's contrast. So lighter is better so you don't see this, you don't want to outline. You kind of just gently want to give a bit of a shadow, like a soft shadow. If you use a brush that is a bit smaller, you can, of course you can. It just takes a bit longer, and then sometimes you go too precise because the brush is just more precision when it's smaller. So bigger is better. And I mix the same as the hat, black and a little bit of the blue. Then even go on the brown. Oh, that looks so cute. Let it dry a little bit, come back, see if you actually need to make more. Very light. Big brush. This is where the heat gun comes in really fast. So you can just go like this. Okay, so I'm going to add I am free to create right here in that hand. Oh, so much glue. Don't do that. You can also use a glue stick. I am worthy of respect is another good one. And so on purpose, you want to change direction of these ones so you can, so they stand out. I'm going to let one go a little over my hand, maybe like this. So by changing, not going horizontal, then people can see them. And the more to the top, it gets a bit smaller. I have a So if she was smaller, we could have also put her more towards the top, but she's a little bit bigger, so I can place her closer to me. And then you can also take and you can add more if you didn't end up cutting out. You can just take some of these or type your own and place it down. And this could be your first page in your first book. And I hope you had fun. And also, please remember to always share with me. I love to see if you use my videos and what you create. And tell me your thoughts. Maybe you have a suggestion. I love to hear suggestions and what you think.